Sometimes the most ordinary nights hide the most extraordinary moments. That's what Marcus would always tell his little daughter, Jada. At 34 years old, Marcus was a struggling single dad, juggling 2 part-time jobs just to keep the lights on. Life had never been easy for him. He had once dreamed of becoming an athlete, but reality pulled him into night shifts, janitorial work, and trying to make sure his daughter never went to bed hungry. That night, Marcus and Jada had saved up for a rare treat, a dinner at a nice downtown restaurant. It wasn't anything too fancy, but for them, it felt like a luxury. Jada's eyes lit up as she held the menu, whispering to her dad, "This is the best night ever." Marcus smiled, soaking in the moment. He rarely allowed himself to relax, but tonight was different. The atmosphere buzzed with laughter. The glow of chandeliers reflected off polished glasses, and soft jazz floated in the air. It felt like the world outside, the bills, the late notices, the exhaustion, didn't exist. But everything changed when Marcus noticed a commotion just a few tables away. 3 men, loud and arrogant, had surrounded a woman sitting alone. She was striking, confident, and dressed in a sleek black dress that spoke of power and class. But right now, she wasn't in control. She was cornered. The men leaned too close, their laughter mocking, their voices dripping with disrespect. One even placed his hand on her table, blocking her escape. Patrons looked away, pretending not to notice. The staff froze, unsure whether to step in. Marcus saw the fear in the woman's eyes, fear she was desperately trying to hide behind a calm, unflinching expression. Jada tugged at Marcus's sleeve. "Daddy, why aren't they helping her?" His heart clenched. He couldn't let his daughter think this was normal, that it was okay to look away when someone needed help. He leaned down and whispered, "Stay right here, baby girl." And with that, Marcus stood up. He didn't look like much to those 3 men, just a tired dad in a worn shirt. But deep inside Marcus, there was something they couldn't see, something he had kept hidden for years. And tonight, in just 4 seconds, the entire restaurant would see it. Marcus walked toward the table with calm, steady steps. Every eye in the restaurant shifted to him, though most people still whispered behind their glasses, afraid to get involved. The tallest of the 3 men, muscles bulging under his designer shirt, looked up with irritation. "Hey pal, mind your business. This ain't your table." Marcus didn't flinch. He glanced briefly at the woman, giving her a reassuring nod, then turned his gaze back to the men. His voice was low, but carried the weight of command. She said no. That should have been enough. The men laughed. One of them smirked and shoved his chair back dramatically. "And what are you going to do about it? You look like some broke janitor. Go back to your mop." Marcus's jaw tightened. He wasn't looking for a fight, but he also knew he couldn't let this go. All his life, he had been underestimated. People only saw his worn clothes, his tired face, his struggles. What they didn't see was the discipline he carried. The years of training in martial arts he had kept up quietly, even after life knocked him down. When one of the men reached out to grab the woman's wrist, Marcus moved. It was fast. Too fast for anyone to process. In 4 seconds, the man's arm was twisted. The second guy was on the floor gasping for breath, and the third was stumbling backward, wide-eyed with shock. Marcus stood tall, steady, not even out of breath. The restaurant was dead silent. Jada's little voice broke through the hush. "That's my daddy." The woman looked at Marcus in awe, her mask of calm finally breaking into relief. For the first time that night, she felt safe. Security rushed in, but it was hardly needed anymore. The 3 men scrambled out of the restaurant, muttering threats they didn't dare to follow through. The crowd erupted in applause. Some shouted thanks, others whistled. But Marcus didn't care about the attention. He only cared that his daughter had seen him do the right thing. The woman stood up, smoothing her dress, and walked toward him. Up close, Marcus realized just how striking she was, not just in beauty, but in presence. She carried herself like someone used to being in control of everything around her. "You didn't have to do that," she said softly, "but I'm glad you did." Marcus gave a humble shrug. No one else was going to, and I couldn't let my daughter watch that happen. Her eyes flicked to Jada, who waved shyly from their table. For a moment, The woman's strong exterior softened, almost maternal. Then she extended her hand. "My name is Elena Carter." Marcus blinked. The name sounded familiar, but he couldn't place it. He shook her hand politely. "Marcus. Just Marcus." Elena smiled knowingly. "I owe you more than a thank you. You have no idea who you just helped, do you?" It wasn't until they left the restaurant and a luxury black car pulled up, with suited bodyguards rushing to open the door, that Marcus realized she wasn't just anyone. Elena Carter wasn't just a woman in trouble. She was the CEO of Ardent Global Industries, one of the biggest Fortune 500 companies in America. And tonight, Marcus had changed her life as much as she had unknowingly just changed his. The next morning, Marcus's phone rang while he was cleaning classrooms at his janitorial job. He almost didn't answer, but something told him to. "Marcus, this is Elena Carter." He nearly dropped the phone. She explained that she couldn't stop thinking about what happened, that most people in his position would have looked away, but he didn't. "I run a company with thousands of employees, Marcus. I meet leaders every day, but you showed me more leadership in 4 seconds than many of them have in years. I want to meet you properly." At first, Marcus thought it was a mistake. Him, a single dad, barely scraping by, meeting with one of the most powerful women in the country? But Elena was insistent. When they met in her office, high above the city skyline, Marcus felt out of place. The polished floors, the glass walls, the assistants buzzing around. It was a world he didn't belong in. Yet Elena looked at him like he was exactly where he was meant to be. She leaned forward. "I believe in rewarding courage and integrity. Marcus, I want you to work with me. Not as a janitor, as part of my leadership team." Marcus was stunned. I don't have the education for that. I'm just a dad trying to get by." But Elena shook her head. "What you have can't be taught in any school. You have instinct. You have strength. And most importantly, you have heart. That's what my company needs." Marcus accepted, though nervously at first. Balancing his new role with being a single dad wasn't easy, but Elena became not just a mentor, but a supporter. She admired his devotion to Jada and often reminded him that true leadership starts at home. Months passed, and Marcus grew into his position, earning respect across the company. He brought a fresh perspective, one rooted not in privilege but in resilience. His hidden skill that saved Elena that night turned out to be the same skill that made him thrive in the corporate world: the ability to act decisively, protect those in need, and inspire others to do the same. The story of that restaurant incident spread quietly at first, then widely. Investors admired Elena's courage to back someone from outside the corporate bubble. Employees admired Marcus's humility. And Jada, she admired her dad more than ever. One evening, Marcus tucked her into bed. She looked up at him with shining eyes and whispered, "Daddy, you're my hero." He smiled, kissing her forehead. "No, baby. I just did what was right." But deep down, Marcus knew the truth. That one single night, one brave decision, had changed the course of his entire life. And the woman he saved? She never forgot the man who stood up when no one else did. Because sometimes heroes don't wear capes. They just wear worn shirts, carry heavy burdens, and find strength not for themselves, but for the little eyes watching them.